All right. Hello, everybody again. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the text-to-speech accessibility feature. So I'm going to hide this so that way it doesn't get in the way. So this Google Doc I'm going to share with you guys, and it's going to be like an index. So this is going to be this is going to be hyperlinked to the video with the introduction to the series of videos. And then on the right side, I'm going to have a description. It's gonna look pretty much like this. But what's also good about what's on the right side is you can click on these hyperlinks, and the hyperlinks are going to take you back to the instructions. So that way, if you want to have something visual that you can read and reference from, open it up, okay? And this is what you can use to help you set up any one of these accessibility features. Okay, so what I'm going to do too is, so here's that. You can come back to it. And then I'm also going to be using this blank Google Doc to demonstrate it a little bit. And that is pretty much it. Okay, so let's get into this. So if you want to if you want to give your Chromebook the ability to read what's on the screen, that's the tool called text to speech. Okay, so if you didn't know, Chromebooks do have a tool, and it's called ChromeVox. And ChromeVox is it's the text to speech tool that comes with its operating system, so it's already preloaded on every single Chromebook. Okay, so it's just a matter of turning it on and then playing around with the settings, so that way you could make it do whatever it is that you need it to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I already opened this one up, so I'm just going to go back to it. It's this website right here, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to work off of this right here. Okay, so the very first thing to turn on ChromeVox is these are the keys. So if you hit the Control, Alt, and Z, you can turn it on instantly. Okay, and it'll launch. Now there are other ways to make it to launch it. One is by clicking on the menu, and we had already turned on the accessibility settings in the video before this. So you can click on that, and then here you have ChromeVox. Okay, so that's that one, and then I'm gonna show you how to do this right here. Select to speak, and then the next videos. Actually, I'm gonna show you how to do this also. How to do dictation. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna click out of this. So I'm just gonna use the Control, Alt, and Z buttons on my computer. I'm sorry, on my Chromebook. So I'm gonna hit Control, Alt, and then the letter Z. Okay. And right here, it's enabling. So right now, it's giving me that tick-tock sound. Okay, I'm gonna turn up the volume. 87%. Okay, so now what happened is spoken feedback is ready. Okay, so it just told me that the spoken feedback is ready. So what happened on our screen is now we have an orange box. Okay, we have this orange box that surrounds certain parts of the screen. That is to indicate to us what it is that it's focused on, the ChromeVox reader. Okay, so if I was to want something read, if I was to click on it, it doesn't really do anything. So we have to tell it what to do. Okay, so right here are some more instructions. Here's how we can handle the volume and all that stuff. What I really like to use is the cursor. So whenever I hover over a word, I can just click on it, and then it'll read what the cursor is over. That's kind of probably the most helpful tool. So to do that, click on it. Okay, so it's search plus space to activate. Choose text with your cursor. Expanded button. Okay, so I was waiting. There it goes. Okay, so it's probably going to do that a couple of times, but what it's doing right now is it's using verbosity. So verbosity is descriptions that the people who created this website have written into the code. And the importance of that is that if you have a screen reader or maybe like a braille note that's attached to your Chromebook, the students will be able to read every bit of the description that's on the website, okay? And that all depends on how the people that designed the website code it. So if they coded it, really well with if they coded it with accessibility in mind, it's going to have a lot of descriptions and it's going to read a lot of of the words. And if it's an image, it's going to read a description of the image, which is a good thing because it helps people who are blind be able to get context of what it is that's being displayed on the screen. Okay, so you can adjust it. So if I'm not a student that is blind, maybe I'm a student with dyslexia, and so instead of getting every single thing described to me, you can turn off or set different levels of the verbosity of the description. Okay, and so what I'm going to do here is there's several different ways that we can get to it, to the ChromeVox options, so that way we can adjust it. One is to click the search button. Okay, so the search button is the one that looks like an hourglass, and on my Chromebook, it's on the left side of my keypad. So I'm going to do the hourglass and then the letter O twice. Okay, so the magnifying glass and then OO. And this shortcut only works if ChromeVox is enabled, and it's enabled because this orange box that I see right here. So I know it's enabled, so I know this shortcut's going to work. So I'm going to do hourglass OO.
Tab created. ChromeVox options.
Okay, and it was reading to me. And the tick-tock sound that I hear.
United States. Menu item. 12 of 34.
Okay, the tick-tock sound that I hear is the page being loaded in the background. And once a student begins to use ChromeVox, they'll understand what certain sounds and certain voices are telling them, okay, in the description, and they get used to it after a while. So what I'm going to do just for us is this by default is turned on. So the verbose descriptions is turned on or enabled. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disable it for now.
Enable verbose descriptions. Checkbox. Check.
Okay, because I don't really need.
Plus space to toggle.
I don't.
Enable verbose descriptions. Checkbox. Check.
Okay, I don't really need that much.
Enable verbose descriptions. Not checked.
Okay, so what I am going to turn on is the mouse. Okay, so I'm going to turn this one on.
Text under the mouse. Not checked. Speak text under the mouse. Not checked. Speak text under the.
Okay, I had to move my cursor out of the way because now I have the mouse enabled. So anything that I put my mouse over, it's going to read. So let's say I wanted to read this sentence.
Speak text under the mouse.
Okay, so as soon as it finishes, it just kind of leaves there. So if I wanted to read this.
ChromeVox options. Heading 1.
Okay.
Enable verbose descriptions.
All right, so that's how this works.
When reading capitals.
Okay, to me, this is probably the more helpful one.
Untitled document. Untitled document. Address and search bar.
So if I try this, let's say I'm going to write an essay and I wanted to read back what I typed. So I'm going to say this is my essay. Okay, and I want it to read it back to me. I just put my cursor over it. Okay, and it's not reading. Okay, so that's some of the things that you have to watch out for, because now there are other ways that we can get it to read, and I'll show you how to do that, but it doesn't do that here. But now if I come over here,
tools with submenu, 6 of 9, add-ons with submenu, 7
okay,
of 9.
So it does read that. So there are things that you have to get used to. So I'm going to leave this here because I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how we can get it to read that. Okay, so
ChromeVox option. ChromeVox.
Okay, so that's the first thing that I wanted to show you. And I am going to.
Text under the mouse. Check.
Yeah, you can adjust it here, so you can.
Increase bit. Has pop-up. Collapse.
So you can increase the pitch, and actually,
Speak text under the mouse.
I'm going to turn it off for now.
Text under the mouse. Not checked.
I'm going to turn this off for now, just so that way I can explain this a little bit more to you. So you can allow download of notifications. You can turn off the sticky mode. Okay, so that's when you're editing the text. So this is one place where you can kind of start to adjust that a little bit more. Let's see, what else can you do when you're playing audio files? Okay, so you can have it play at normal volume, even if ChromeVox is speaking. So some people, if they are playing their music, they might want the ChromeVox to be a little bit more quieter. You can change the voice. So if maybe you have a student, or let's say, let's you'd rather have a different dialect.
Has pop-up with 43 items. Expanded. System text-to-speech voice. 1 of 43. System text-to-speech voice. 1 of 43.
Okay, let's say you wanted to change the dialect. You can do that there. Now the catch is that even if you do change the language, and I'm going to scroll back up to where it was, even if you do change the language right there, it doesn't mean that it's going to translate English to, let's say, Spanish. Okay, it just gives you a different dialect in the way they talk. Okay, it's still gonna, like, let's say you put it on Spanish, it's gonna be reading the sentence in English in a voice or in a dialect that's in Spanish. So there's other settings that we can do that where it'll translate the operating system, but that's a different type of setting. It's not so much an accessibility setting, but more of a like a world language kind of setting in the background. Okay, so continuing to scroll down, here's where you can see the Braille options. So if you have a Braille reader, you can set it to where it's 8 dots, or you can set it to other types of Braille readers.
English, United States.
Okay.
Pop-up.
You can
4 items. Expanded. Select an 8-dot Braille table. English, United States. Has pop-up with 34 items. Expanded. English, United States. 12 of 32.
Okay, I just hit the control button to have her stop speaking. So here you can switch it to 6-dot Braille if you wanted to. You can enable the word wrap. So all of this just goes back to the Braille. You can also show the Braille commands in the ChromeVox menus. So if you wanted to show the commands, they'll pop up. So that way the student, if the student is still learning the commands, they can learn them and practice them, and they can have them there to reference too. You can set your Bluetooth Braille display. So if you do have like a Braille note that's Bluetooth, you can connect it. Okay, and then here's the more of how it displays and the cells per line, all that stuff, right? And then if you are a developer and you wanted to code something with accessibility, there's some more information in there. And let's see, what I'm going to do is, let me just close this really fast.
ChromeVox options. Connect. Disabled.
And I'm going to come back up here to our notes because
built-in screen reader Chromebook help tab. Use the built-in screen reader Chromebook help.
Okay, so
cursor. Expanded.
Okay, so I just did Control Alt Z and I turned off the ChromeVox. So the thing with ChromeVox is it's going to read everything unless you set it up and you tweak the settings to where it'll just read the text that's underneath the mouse, and then you could turn off the descriptions too. Okay, so you have to adjust it to your needs. All right, and don't be afraid to adjust it. That's what the adjustments are there for. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay, so that way you can get it to exactly how you need it to work for you. Okay, so now here are just more commands. So if you are somebody that wants to use the keypad to have it do certain things real quickly, you could print these out and then just have it next to your Chromebook, so that way you can reference them really fast. And then once you start using it more and more, you're gonna remember them. So it's good to have it here, but once you start learning them, you don't really need them anymore. So this is just more commands of how you can move to different tabs in Windows. Okay, and then these are more commands, how you can move through pages, how you can move through a page with your touch screen, okay, how you can move different cells in a table, how you can select and click, okay, and here's where you can change the voice or the language. Okay, so in here's where you can do the language changes. Okay, and then here's where you can change, like you can speed it up or you can change the pitch of the voice too. And then here's some keyboard shortcuts so you can be faster with ChromeVox. Okay, and then yeah, you got the sticky mode. So what sticky mode is enabled and you will stay on until you press it twice. So you have to hit it twice to turn off the sticky mode. And then use the ChromeVox menu. Okay, so to open the ChromeVox menu, hit the search plus and then period. So I'm going to turn ChromeVox up again. Okay, so now it's on again.
Use the built-in screen reader, Chromebook help. Use the ChromeVox menu.
Okay, so I just did search and period.
ChromeVox spoken feedback is ready. Search the menus.
Okay, so here's where we get even.
Search the menus. Use the up and down arrows to cycle through results. Use the left and right arrows to adjust the text caret and to move between menus.
Okay, so here's where we can get even more settings. Okay.
Jump. Go to beginning.
So here's more shortcuts that you could learn. Okay, speech. Here's where you can get more shortcuts of how to do this.
Toggle speech on or off search plus volume mute. 19 of 20. Toggle speech on or off search plus volume. Speech off.
Okay, so I just turned it off. That's what I was looking for. So I did the search, which is the magnifying glass, plus the mute. So the mute for me, it's on the top row of keys on my keypad, and it's the speaker with the line crossed through. So right now it's turned off. But from here, you can look at more of the settings. Okay. ChromeVox, here's some actions. What to do with the headings. So here's where you can turn the screen reader off for the headings. So here's where you can turn off a lot of those extra descriptions that it gives you. Okay, so if you just wanted to give you, if you just wanted to read things that are underneath your mouse and not like this, or read every single piece of information that's on there, here's where you can change that stuff. Okay, so you can change that. The landmark. These are just more like where the cursor is, the link, and also landmarks. So if you are using a, let's say a braille reader and you needed it to go to a landmark, you can set landmarks and it'll go back to that place. So you can, so then you'll know where you're orientated within the screen. Okay, the links. This is where you can go and get more information. And then here's where you can send in any kinds of like issues. Here you have your Google account, what it's signed in. But anyways, y'all could look at all of this stuff. What I'm going to do is, since I did mute her, ChromeVox, this is, okay, so I didn't disable. What I just did is I muted. I did the search. Developer options page. Tab. Oh, look, this one right here, Chromebook accessibility for parents and students. I'm actually going to click on that and see what we get. This might be a really good, oh, that's just the one that I'm on right now. Okay, so also, since I'm glad we're here, but because what you can see up here, since I have ChromeVox running, you can see here that speech is off. So if you ever wonder, okay, why isn't it reading anything? Well, it's because the speech is off. Okay, so that's how you'll know what it's doing. If you click this little drop down, then it'll come back to the menu. Okay, and then you could jump to certain spots in the settings, click on speech, and this is where I toggled her on and off. Oh, I did the search and then volume mute is what I did. So here in a little bit, I'm going to unmute her. I'm going to go back to my tabs of my screen reader, and I'm going to go into where I was at earlier. Okay, so what else can I show you? Okay, so here is the settings also. So this is just another way to get to the settings. Okay, so we can enable the verbose descriptions. We could automatically read the page after it finishes loading. You can speak the text under the mouse. So I'm going to turn that back on. And so right now it's not reading because I have her muted. Okay, so if I want to, and right here this tells me the speech is off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the search and then the unmute.
Speech on.
So now it's on.
Chromebook accessibility for parents and students. Google Docs tab.
Okay, so
5. Multi-select. Speech off.
Okay, so now what it does is it's reading everything that's underneath my mouse. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. So for this first one, I'm going to come back over here. So this was just the text to speech.